All right, here we are. Showtime, man. Let me click on over here. Boom! New look, new feel. What's up? Let me turn this down. I got the music going. There we go. So hopefully the sound levels are good on everything. If you need me to turn anything down, let me know. Because I got the music going and all this other stuff. So I can't hear the music, but I'm going to turn it down to like negative 26 decibels. We'll see. We'll see what we got. But hey, what's good? Glad you're here. And yeah, this is the first time streaming in over a year now that the little ones are older. They can sleep through the night now. And I have, I can come back and do this at least, well, I say at least, probably twice a week. That's kind of what I've dictated down. And what's nice is, one, it has a whole new look, a whole new feel. But a lot of the kind of waxing poetic about art we can do here, while the YouTube videos can be more direct based on techniques and kind of the tutorializing of very specific things if we need to do that. But with the live stream, I was thinking it could be more personal paintings, and then we'll still do Q&A and I'll show real examples and all that stuff. But it's going to be way more freeform. And it's funny, way back in, 2014, so like 10 years ago, I would do Twitch full time. And a lot of people actually liked my Twitch, and I didn't do YouTube at the time, but basically my live stream more so than like the YouTube stuff. They're like, oh, you're a better fit for Twitch because you, you interact immediately and all that stuff. So hopefully that'll still be the case, but I'm a little rusty. If any sound is echoing or anything like that, please let me know. But all this will be archived on YouTube. So we're going to have that on the YouTube playlist. So if you're watching on YouTube as the archive, welcome. Don't feel bad if you don't make it live. Just know that we'd love to have you if you're here live. It's great. Get to talk on to Twitch and YouTube at the same time through the power of technology. And yeah, so we're going to be doing some personal art. And that's going to be a majority of what we're going to do on the live stream. And, I had that YouTube video, what, a month or two ago about being in the creative rut and how do you get out of it. And a lot of you, especially like Brent and Firebrand, and everyone was like, "Hey, maybe you should work on like a personal deal. You're working a lot for other people. Maybe you should do your own thing. Maybe you should write stories. Maybe you should do comics. Maybe you should do something." And you all are absolutely right. And I made the decision. Yes, I'm going to work on my fantasy IP. I haven't announced it yet. It's not ready to be announced, but you guys will be able to see me making stuff and doing the problem solving as I'm making it. Before I put it into a book, before I make it a big product, you can kind of see the wheels turning and stuff like that. So I'm excited about it. I'm genuinely really excited about it because it's cool to work on, Star Wars and Warhammer, but that's stuff that was made by somebody else, and I'm kind of the custodian. You know what I mean? Like whenever they give you the job, you have this like precious gem that's been through years and decades of just like everybody's expectations in it, and it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of fun, and I do like it, and I feel like I can thrive in that environment because it's like, okay, let's really crystallize what we love about this thing and then make our version of it. But whenever you make your own personal work, you are judge, jury, and executioner. You decide, is this good? Yes or no? Is this worth being in the product? What do I need to fix? Like, I have to make every decision. And I think that's part of what makes it so exciting, is now I'm kind of the be all end all. It's like, okay, is this good enough? Yes or no? Well, how do I fix it? Or, hey, if it's good, let's put it out there. Instead of having the art director tell you yes or no, or things like that. And plus, this is great because there's no non-disclosure agreement on this. It's all personal stuff. So it's like, I can show you every bit of it, how the sausage is made or whatever. Like, we got it. You know what I mean? So we're going to hop on over here. I'm going to be in Clip Studio tonight. So I have both pieces open, and I'm going to move this over. I'm going to mute the mic real quick because I'm going to move the microphone over here. So whenever I'm talking, it'll still catch me pretty good right here. So I'll mute real quick. And then I'll unmute right there. Okay, cool. Cool. So let's hop on over. Boom. So this is going to be like a table of contents thing, maybe, or the way the book is going to be set up, there's going to be chapters, but there's going to be parts. Like part 1 can be this many chapters, then part 2 is this many chapters or whatever. But it's going to be a mix of narrative and visual, and there's going to be a multi-page comic, but then it's kind of this whole visual world building thing. So what I'm excited about, and so we have that, and then we also have this one, which is more story driven, of what's called Tribunal, where a few of the characters are being escorted to basically to a tribunal. They're being put on on task, and we're gonna see, throughout the narrative, like what happens to them. So yeah, we're just gonna paint for a little bit, but yeah, I'll have chat open. I will kind of discuss things as I'm working, because I think I actually had a few people requesting that, like whenever I make decisions, why am I making the decisions? Why am I doing it in real time? That type of stuff. So we'll do that for sure. And let me come over here. Okay, cool. So that is there. I am gonna turn up that so I can hear some of the Twitch alerts and all the alerts for like YouTube and stuff if I get any. So it's going to start off slow, probably for the first few streams, first month or so. Not a lot of people going to be here, but once it becomes more regular and it's more scheduled, I do think we're going to have a pretty big turnout, which is cool. I think it's a lot of fun. The more people, the better. Well, we get to talk shop and all that stuff. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of dig in, and if you have questions at all, I'm going to be checking chat, and yeah, just let me know, and I will be happy to answer really anything. So to warm up, I'm actually going to do this kind of octopus skeleton one. I'm at this part on this one to where I want to render it, and I want to render it pretty painterly, but like, what does that mean? So you have the octopus stuff kind of behind the head. Just kind of cool. I have, what is it called? Netherdeep, the Warhammer Underworlds thing. The game Warhammer Underworlds, and they have a lot of this kind of cryptic dead stuff. It's pretty cool. But yeah, man, the Clip Studio is just, yeah, we'll talk about this. Clip Studio is just a banger. Like, it does what it's supposed to. It has some fancy features, but the features where it matters are like the best, you know? Like, I've opened Photoshop less and less and less lately. Yeah, I'm always at that deal of how rendered do we want to get? I'm thinking I want to stay pretty rendered around focal points. And then, I mean, you can see like how messy it is. And get pretty sharp around focal points. And then, you know, as it gets further away from the focal point, you get more painterly and stuff. But the whole thing still needs to read as cohesive. It still has to read like it's been painted. I find that very important. I mean, I'm a painter after all, and that's it. But to be fair, what I'm learning, and I think this is why the storytelling stuff's going to be a lot of fun, I don't think people care all that much how well you can paint. I mean, we care as like as the artist and as a creative person, but I don't think overall the audience really cares at all about if you can paint well. It's like, what stories do you tell with it? Like, what are you doing with that skill? That's more interesting, you know. And for here, I mean, definitely the orbital and the kind of the nose structure, the nasal cavity, this is going to be the main focal point. So it doesn't matter even what the detail looks like, it just needs detail. Like, it just needs noise there. It needs more here than anywhere else. And like, we'll have the most amount of contrast and the most amount of detail, because all of these are going to be in black and white to start with, and then we're going to maybe add some gradient maps to a few of them and stuff like that, but it's going to be very minimalistic. I think that's part of it, and plus it lets me just focus on technique instead of, ooh, look at all these pretty colors. But there will be a few paintings in the book that are like full color, bombastic, like, whoa. Yeah, it's about, you know, what are you telling with your skills? Like, why should people care? What you'll see is that I, instead of zooming out like a normal person, like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's cool, I literally like move my head back to see stuff. It's just an old habit I have from art school. Because we would just have the canvas. If we're doing life drawing or whatever, we would do this. Crunch, my man. Yes, sir. The one and only. Back again. The ace is back. As it were. So that's going to be fun. A lot of people from like 10 years ago that were watching my Twitch when I was playing video games. Hats off to all of you. But yeah, now that the kiddos are older, I can stream again, you know. I'm thinking, you know, my wife and I talked about it, and I think Saturday nights and Wednesday nights are going to be, as of right now, kind of the go-to for when we're going to stream. It's only twice a week, but that also gives me time to do a YouTube video every week as well, plus the actual painting. But the nice thing is, since I'm doing my personal project here, I'll save all that painting for the live stream. Does that make sense? Like, I'll do all that here, and then that'll give me even more incentive to do a live stream every week. Is then I get to work on the book. I get to work on this project. And the more I work on it, the sooner it comes out, which will be cool. Let's see, we got a few of these, and what I'm figuring out is the sketches are nice, but it's really just good to use a sketch just to get some paint strokes down. Like, know where I'm going to be setting them and seeing if it looks right before I like commit. So it's going to be a mainly it's an art book, but it's going to have a multi-page kind of comic intro, sort of comic book, you know, Conan the Barbarian inspired like stuff, you know. I'm doing a lot of studying about comic books right now, and it's a whole different beast, which is cool, and I think learning some of that's going to help the painting side of things. So it's going to have that. It's going to have full page art. It's going to have like little narrative snippets, just like paragraphs or maybe a few pages of text, then like 4 or 5 paintings, then like a journal entry from a character. Like, it's going to be this whole world building thing. So it's going to be short stories and just moments, and then, oh, here's an image of when this happened. You know, I think that's a cool way to do it. I got really inspired by Evan Amundsen. He has his project called, I think it's called Tegn, Tegn. If you look that up, Tegn. It started with him. He did basically a painting every day for a year, and then he collected it into a narrative, which is a cool idea. But I'm working a little different because I have a narrative I want to tell, and now I'm just going to make a whole bunch of paintings around it and kind of see what happens, you know. So yeah, there's a bigger narrative at play for it, but it's going to have a lot of like, it's more important to do the small stories, because the stories are about the people that live in this world, and like, it's all kind of, I don't want to give a lot away yet, but like, it's very people driven instead of this big, huge, enormous, oh, we have to slay the gods, and like, it's not going to be that. It's not, like, one of my biggest inspirations is the rebooted Battlestar Galactica, the one that came out in 2004. Like, that's basically a huge space opera. But it's not about the Cylons versus human, the big war. Like, that's happening. But it's about the relationships that the people have. And I think that's why I liked it so much. Is it almost used the Cylon War as this backdrop for what the show was really about, which is all the people on the Battlestar Galactica. You know what I mean? Like, I really dig that. So I think having this to where characters are reacting to things, and those things are kind of the main plot, but then it's still about the people, is going to be a cool way to go. Because you can tell some really kind of intimate, like, sad or happy or whatever stories, even if the world itself is not very happy. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a cool thing because it lets you flex a little bit. It lets you kind of figure things out, and, you know, this isn't going to be like, oh, it's like Dark Souls. Like, no. Yeah, everyone's doing something like that, so, like, no. This thing is different. It is different. And nothing to knock, like, Dark Souls storytelling and stuff. You know, I love that stuff too, but this will be a little bit more personal. Let's see, so we have something like this. So yeah, really right now what I'm doing, I'm going in with this Photoshop wet brush, which I love. I love, love, love. And I'm getting rid of a whole lot of the kind of grain and grit of some of the paint strokes, because I'm going to go back into the areas around the focal point and reintroduce them so they're more powerful. And then that way I'm kind of blurring edges, smudging some stuff, because the nice thing about this brush, if you push down really hard, it becomes an opaque, like, hard round brush, right? But if you kind of gently wisp it across the canvas, it blends everything. It's like a smear brush. It's really nice. But then on the flip side, you have the Photoshop, just the standard one, and it's like a razor blade. Like, that one comes in really harsh, which is not what we're needing right now. I need to get rid of some detail to then introduce it back in. And like I said, this is just a piece for, like, the table of contents or something. This will be, literally, this will come down. Let's do on the page, and you can see the A4 formatting, all the lines and the bleed and all that stuff, just to make sure. It's going to be like this, with text over top. But just to have this type of stuff is really cool. Almost like a watermark for the page. And it's only going to be for one page. And then the other one we're working on tonight. So whenever we get kind of bored of this one, we'll just hop over to the tribunal one, which is more interesting because I put in basic people shapes, but I haven't defined any of the stuff yet. Like, I know this guy, he's basically shirtless and has this almost like, he's basically a crow. Like, he has, and it's funny, I put the crow stuff on him. I might take that out or I might keep it. I don't know. But, like, he's kind of a Billy Badass. And yeah, it's him and whoever this is. You know, I don't even know who this is yet. But it's that type of thing. Like, I want to make these moments in time almost like somebody was a photographer and they, like, took a picture of it. And then I can put in a caption like, this is so-and-so being led to the tribunal, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're going to get judges after them, and, you know, people are going to see if they're guilty or not. But what are they guilty of? All that. It leaves things open, which is nice. But yeah, so and you can see I put smudges down. That's just to get my mind going as far as You know, and that guy has like a Viking helmet. Why not? You know, we're gonna make it make more sense. That's what I'm gonna work on tonight. Is okay. These two characters have to come from the same clan or village or whatever. So how are we gonna make them look like they're from the same place, but give them a distinct personality? Like, this is the stuff that I'm not good at, which is why the personal project is so important, because now I get to practice it and I have to think about it and I have to put it through the paces, because doing stuff like this is going to help my other painting. And that's what this whole thing is. This is an excuse to flex the parts of my brain that aren't very good yet. They're just not there. They're not at the level. Like, I can render stuff, I can paint stuff okay, but this type of stuff I really need to start like nailing down. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a little more, there's action, but it's not like fighting. Like, they're walking and they're striding somewhere. So we'll see. And I did put color on it, but I don't know if I like those colors, so I did a gradient map over it to kind of lessen it down. It really reminded me of Richard Anderson, Flaptraps. He does stuff for like Guild Wars. And I love his rendering style. I love the way he tells stories in his artwork, especially for like Guild Wars and stuff. So I was like, oh, can I kind of do my version of that? Not make, you know, instead of doing, I'm going to do a Flaptrap study, I'm going to do a Richard Anderson study. Like, what if I do a painting and then try to find what I like about that style and pull it in there, like integrate it in? So you can see it's super rough, like super smudged. I literally painted a lot and then used the Gaussian blur effect and like blurred everything, and now I'm painting on it again. Let me turn these off so we work in grayscale. But like, you can literally see I just had the sketches of characters first. And I didn't even know what this helmet was. I just like drew a helmet, you know. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. See, I love that Rangers painting, but yeah, it was one of those deals that like no client's gonna hire me for that, which is sad, because I love doing that type of stuff to where you just make abstract shapes. I call it cloud gazing, to where you make abstract shapes, you make the chaos on the canvas, and then you're like, okay, what does this look like? Can I carve stuff around it? Like constellations. It's like, can I make it look like this, maybe? So yeah, you can see super rough sketches. But then once you get the values in, okay, now it has some meat on the bones, you know? And that's exciting. That's super cool. Whenever I got this in, and I was really proud of it. The one thing I do need to do, when we get to this one, is I need to lighten him a little bit because he's a little too dark. Because this gentleman's in front, kind of leading the way. This is our actual like focal point as far as the brightest brights, the darkest darks. I think I'm pretty sure it's a she. I did want it to be a she, so hers is more of kind of a skirt, while his is more of a, I don't know, actually, kind of like a tabard, but like almost like a kilt, but it's torn everywhere or something. That's what I mean. Like, it's sort of Viking stuff, but sort of weird, like Death Note, like inspired stuff. Who knows, right? But if it looks cool, that's important. This whole thing is basically, I have the main story to tell, and then there's the rule of cool, and that's it. Screw everything else. Does it look cool? Even if it breaks every rule in the book, that's fine, as long as the picture is really neat to look at. Because I need to get better at that. I get too caught up in like, well, if the light's here and the sun hits there and then the Like, I get so caught up in the minutia of it, I forget to make a picture. So this is the type of thing that, like, oh, let's make a cool looking picture, you know, that people would be interested in wanting to know more about. I'm going to make probably 4 or 5 more of these. Maybe one for each kind of faction. That'd be cool. That would actually be really cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, I could do the faction-based stuff with this, and this could like introduce each chapter, because I think the first main book is gonna be 70 pages. Yeah, totally. It's complete sword and sorcery. It is. Does this look cool? Is it rad? Would you buy a comic book of it? You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of the testament, right? Like, would you put your hard-earned money up to have this on your bookshelf because it's awesome? Nothing else, no other reason. It's like, at a certain level, I don't even care if you read it. Do you just want it because the art is rad? That's the win for me. The art or the story's secondary. It's really like, can I build a world and can I deliver on it? And see, it's like this. Okay, if I were to look at this, I'm like, okay, a skull doesn't do this. Like, really, I just have this like weird cobwebby sheet or whatever over it. But like the way the mandible bone and like goes into the top teeth and stuff, this isn't technically correct, but it looks rad, so I don't care. I'm trying to get past my perfectionism of, oh, well, it doesn't make sense, and it wouldn't do that in real life, and I need to, like, let go of that. So I need to make this a little more... Oh, I know what I can do. I need to make this pop a little more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a darker... And where's the light going to hit from? Let's have the light coming from this way down. So that means we can do a cast shadow. Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. This is another thing I'm really starting to focus on, is dedicate mental capacity to one step at a time. So like, I need all of this, you know, this sort of cast shadow from the cloth or whatever this is. So like focusing on that and not getting caught up in other stuff until that part's done. So like if that comes over this, but then that comes over this, and that comes out of the shadow. Let me hit that. These come over here. That's there. And see, there's no reference. Like, there's no, you know, this is correct, this is not correct stuff. Like, it's not a study of anything. It's just try to find forms, try to find shapes. And that one can, like, go into the skull a little bit more. That one's coming out because it went in. That's coming out. It's connected. Okay. Oh yeah, the Boris Vallejo is like a perfect. It's just cool. It's rad to see that stuff. It's so fun. Yeah, cool. Cool is what sells. I remember there's a lecture on YouTube, and I watched it years ago, and I think it's from like the Game Developers Conference, and it's called Concept Art is Dead. And it was really cool. I like the guy that gave the. I think he works at EA, or he did at the time. He might still, I don't know. And he was like part of the Battlefield series, and he did a bunch of other stuff. He did some like kids books. He's done a lot because he works for kind of a bigger studio. I know he worked at EA, but he may have been for like an outsourcing team or something. And he talked about every single time he would go into a meeting, if he'd never worked with the client before, he would always default to make the art look badass. And he would do the air quotes of badass. So he was like, the explosions would be bright, everything would cast a shadow, the light would slice a certain way, like everything looked high impact and badass. And he was like, we got more jobs just doing that than any other thing. Because people, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, more of that. Like, it was shiny. It looked good. It didn't matter if it made sense or not. He said he really struggled with it because he wanted it to like, well, if this is a World War II game, it has to, whenever he's holding the rifle in the piece of art, he has to be holding it a certain, because those people, the people that are really into World War II, and then he was so caught up in his own head about it that he would make really boring flat images. And I was like, oh yeah, I know that feel. I know that one, bro. And then he said once he sort of gave up and was like, fine, I'll make it look cool, and there's big explosions and stuff, it always worked. And he was like, oh, okay, maybe I should just do this. And he would tell his team that. He would say, hey guys, make it badass. Whatever it is, just make it look cool. Who cares if it's right or wrong? They'll come back and tell us if we need to fix it, but just default to making it badass. Make it something that you like looking at, and the rest of it's going to follow, So it's like, an example of that would be like these octopus tentacles. I don't think you guys realize how tempted I am right now to go like Google image search octopus tentacles and make sure that the way that we're painting it is correct, and well, how would the light hit them, and does it look slimy enough, and like I'm actively going against my instinct of doing that. But I just need to work from imagination. I just need to get better at it. And the only way to do it is to do it. You know what I mean? Like, just make it look cool. Because, people are going to know what this is, hopefully. It's a weird thing, but it looks neat. Let's do that. Really kind of get rid of some of these sketch lines more than anything. Oh, the semi-opaque. Yeah. So, what I found, that's a good idea. Okay, and if the light was coming from there, this would actually come up here. Like that. And that would connect more. Okay. So what we can do on that sort of like semi-opaque thing that you're talking about. Let me try this. We're going to make a new layer. First off, let me save before I done goof everything up. So I have all my, oh, and by the way, this is, if you're interested in like how big this is. This is, yeah, it's at 600 dpi. I think it's like 6,000 by 8,000 at 600 dpi. So like this is at 13% zoom. If we went to 100% zoom, here we are. This is 100% zoom. So you can see all the different brushes that I've used and stuff. But the goal is that whenever it's shrunk down, it's going to look like razor sharp. So I wonder if I get one of these Greg Rutkowski brushes right here. Or actually, no. I'm going to do the Daniel Ibanez. So I'm going to grab Daniel Ibanez brushes. I am going to multiply layer and get some texture in here. And then we're going to carve around the texture. So if we do like something like that. Wet gesso ink. So this might actually start slowing down the stream because these are huge brushes and I'm working on a multiply layer. So it has to do a lot of math. So yeah, this nasty like textured look is pretty cool. Let's do messy texture filbert. Well, that one's a fairly easy to use brush. So I come in here. The nice thing, no matter what you paint over, the multiply layer is going to make it darker. And the multiply layer uses your light intensity as the how much darker it's going to make it. So like with white, it's not going to do anything. It doesn't really make any noticeable effect. But if you go even down a little bit, it's just going to make things a little darker. But then if you go way down here, it's going to make it like way darker, you know. So multiply is a fun one to use. And then I can really kind of get in there. And sort of do some of this. It's a little dark, but we'll temper it down real quick. We'll actually temper the whole thing down. Because with that, with that tooth showing, he looks a little buck tooth. So we're gonna knock those teeth back a little bit. But then we're gonna lower the opacity. Where it just gives a little bit of texture. And then merge the layer below. Yeah, cool. Let me come back up here. Cool. Now if I sort of come into the main area, I'll use my Sergeant brush. Then I come in and I just make nice little, really dark and really light, kind of bridge between the two. And then see, you can have some really harsh texture here. And then come in with, make that pitch black. Do some of those. That's the blackest it's gonna get right there. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Then smudge some of these out with that kind of wet blend brush. Let me actually bring that one down. Should make it pop okay. And then like with these, use kind of that darker middle value. Sort of get rid of these harsher edges. Makes it look a little more rendered. Almost like you meant to put each stroke exactly where it was supposed to be. And we can bring that up. Bring those out, bring that up. Cool. So do that. Now, now I'm going to sketch with it a little bit. Now I'm zoomed out a little more. Try to build a little highlight where that comes up. Let's have that blend in. This is why I like working in values quite a bit. Because you can just do some of the hard stuff, some of the, in my opinion, the more fun stuff, which is getting this detail in there and not having to worry about how the colors fit together. Because there are no colors. Not yet, at least. So I think this one's a little too uniform in size. So let me break it a little bit. There we go. We'll get rid of that. That kind of blends in. That kind of blends in. Something like that's cool. I do need to fix the angle of the teeth. Because I don't think that's quite... Yeah, that's already better. I needed to come under the gums here and sort of... maybe blend that in, yeah, to where that bottom part of the jaw sort of kicks in, right? And to really have some fun, what we can do we have some of these here, same thing here. I'm gonna get the sharp brush. And then start threading out some of this. Especially around the focal point. Really kind of get that sharp razor blade on there for some of these looks. Oh, and maybe I can put some tears kind of in the middle. You know? So like... some of these. There we go. Yeah, it's like the bone grafted in the middle. Amaris, what's up, bro? How do we plan a big... Ooh, so planning a big project. It sounds weird, but I think part of it, you kind of already know you want to make it anyway. Like, you may not even know exactly what the idea is, but you know it's something. You know there's something to it. Like, oh, like, just to go into a little bit of story about what this is. The world has this world has a big cataclysmic event. And a big, just, basically a black diamond falls out of the sky. Huge. I'm talking 200 miles wide by, you know, it's this enormous thing. Crashes into this planet where all the people live. And that is a sign that basically the gods have forsaken them, right? Now you have these factions, and they've always existed, but now they're really kind of tribal, like very, we are correct, no one else is, you know, at odds with each other. And I knew that, based on what the faction is, they have a different kind of relationship with whatever higher being has forsaken them. So some people think it's a test of faith. Some people think it's, well, there was never a God anyway, so what does this matter? Like they're kind of too cool for school about it. Some people are really having a hard time. Some people are like, hey, it's about people. If we're good to each other, whatever, what may come, may come. So really, it's an allegory for how the world is now on the planet Earth. But I want to tell it in this fantasy deal and then figure out, okay, what can you do about that? How do you as a person deal with this? And I like that idea. So that's where the story comes from. I don't know. I know who the factions are. I know kind of the big players and what ends up happening. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have it kind of almost come to me, I'm hoping. It's one of those things that I'm a big believer that there's no real such thing as inspiration. I don't think there is. I think you get inspired by working. If you put in time and you have a goal, even if the goal isn't clear, but you know you want to do something, the more you act on it, the more it's going to come to fruition. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of where I think about it, is like, I'm just going to make some stuff. And I guess part of the game is seeing how it connects. But if I have this overarching theme, not even visual theme, but just the theme of like, okay, people can be good to each other or people can be bad to each other. Some people will use whatever as a scapegoat. Oh, I did it because God told me to, or I'm on drugs and the drugs made me do it, or that, people find a scapegoat. People find reasons to either be good or bad to each other. There's nurturers in the world, and then there's people that don't care. And then there's people trying to find their way. And I think that's a really fascinating aspect. I think that deal in the middle. How are you reacting to outside stimuli? That's the theme. So that's the project. It's more of like, almost like a journal. Like, how would I react in these situations? Or how do I think people should or shouldn't act? Or it's a bigger than me thing, I guess, which sounds really pompous and artsy fartsy and whatever. But it's like, okay, what are cool storytelling elements that we can put in here to make somebody like a really bad guy? But then whenever we have the really bad guy, is it too cliche to like have them find retribution? And oh, well, I've seen the error of my ways. Or are bad people just bad people? And is it worth it trying to like pull them to the good side? Or like, is it a lost cause? Don't worry about them. Mind your lane. Work on you. Those are the themes. And I think there's a lot of meat there, But I know that's probably not an answer to the question of how do you approach a big project. But I think if you have the sense of something that needs to be said, you're going to get compelled one way or another to act on it. Whether that's a comic book or writing a music or, poems, or you're going to find a way to try to get that message across. And like, it sounds weird, but I'm trying to make the art thematic and have it look kind of cool and medieval, but also Baroque era painting, because that's the stuff I like. It's almost like throwing everything into a blender. And you don't know what it's going to make. I have no idea what any of this is really going to be. But I do know, hey, if I have fun making the ingredients, hopefully it comes out well. And that's the skill set that I think I need to practice. And I think having a big project like this, something that you can really call your own, is a great way to learn that. I saw an interview with Neil Gaiman, you know, the guy that wrote Sandman, American Gods, Anansi Boys, great author. And he talked about, someone asked him, what's the difference between your first draft and your final draft? And he said, oh, they're essentially the same except for all of the important parts. And I thought, I get it, man. I know what that is. Like, yeah. It's a super smart answer too. Like, it's exactly the same except for all the important parts. I mean, you gotta, you know, my wife is a writer. She's already published 2 books and she's working on a whole anthology thing right now. And like, we talk about it, and I've talked about it on the art channel. You can't edit something that's not on the page. Like, you can't fix a painting that hasn't been painted yet. You need something on the canvas to work with. You need, just throw it. Throw whatever. And then you'll see it. You'll be like, oh, that's cool. Well, maybe let's try that too. And then you kind of mix these things together and hopefully it turns into something. Yeah, most bad people do think they're doing good things. And then, you know, what does that mean? And, you know, everyone's a hero in their own story. But at the end of the day, is there, you know, do you need an outside force to tell you what's good or evil? Or does it literally exist? Is there kind of a set wavelength that everybody's on, and then you deviate from it based on life experiences or whatever? Like, that's kind of the theme. Which is, you know, big and hearty and all this other stuff. But I think there's something worthwhile there. And I don't know if I have the skills to bring it to fruition, but I do know it's something. And I think that's a good place to start. Is like, this could be something. You know? So now that we have, so if I zoom out and see how these harsh lines don't quite fit because everything else is a little smudgy and painterly. Now our goal is to integrate these things into the smudgy painterly look, you know, which once again, we'll get that wet brush, then we'll color pick and get some of this stuff in here. So like, we get some of these. This makes it more believable in the piece, but also it's a little more soft, so it's not as aggressive. Like, it's actually, let me bring in that. I just don't want my shapes to repeat too much, because that's a bad tendency I have too. Once I kind of find a motif, I stick with it almost too close. And I need to break out of that. I need to not rely on that as much. Like with these shapes, I did a lot of like, oh, here's a long shape and it's wiggly, and here's a long shape and it's wiggly, and here's a long shape and it's wiggly. I need to not I don't really even know how to not do that, but I need to not do that. That's what I mean. This is basically ways to experiment, because all of the lessons that we can learn doing a personal project will help you solve problems in your professional client work. Do you know what I mean? Like, you put yourself in situations where you don't know how to get out of it artistically on your personal stuff. That way, whenever you conquer it or like learn how to get out of it, if you run into the same rut while you're painting, let's say Warhammer or Star Wars or whatever, you won't be as like gun shy to try stuff. Because you're like, oh, I've been here before. Yeah, that personal project that I beefed it. I didn't do great, but it turned out okay. Let me see if that works on this. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised on how much that stuff really does help. Just having the experience, you know. Here, let me break that one up too, because here we go. So something like that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll stay zoomed out for a minute just to kind of get a better look. There we go. And we can really start to tear this stuff up. There we go. Yeah. See, that's the ticket. Just zoom out. Look at the whole picture as one big thing instead of each individual area. And it'll be a better picture because of it. There you go. So that one's over that one. That one's over that one. This one's coming over here. This has to come off of that. There's that blending into this. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And see these darker kind of, it almost looks translucent whenever we get to go over it like this. It really accentuates the shapes of like the jaw and the kind of the orbital bone. That's really wide. This should actually come up. So let me fix that real quick. This needs to come up like that instead of, there we go. So if it's like that and that drapes over. I'm trying to just think in 3D how the skull would look, how it would work. All right. So yeah, we're making some progress on it. It's looking okay. I might move over to the other piece now. That way that one gets a little time in the sun. Kind of cook it in the oven a little bit. So we have that. Now let's see our progress so far. Yeah. So yeah, see, I know we started a little bit further along than this, but yeah, this kind of was the initial blotch in, and you have your watercolor sort of splashes. And then coming in, like you can still see all the sketch marks and all that stuff. And then you come in with the render, and you know, the same shapes are there. Like almost exactly the same shapes are there. What's fun is whenever you realize that mainly the only thing that matters at the end of the day are the shapes, not even the forms. We get so caught up in 3D and, okay, depth and all this other stuff, and oh, isn't that so cool, and the light versus dark and all that. That's, you know, insanely important. But if your shapes are cool, you're doing pretty good. Like if your triangles and your circles and your squares are composed correctly, or at least interestingly on the page, yeah, you're cooking with gas. You know, you're gonna have a good time, because and you can do kind of whatever you want. I learned this from Oh, who was it that was saying it? Was it Jesper Elsing? Maybe. No, Ryan Pancoast. Well, both of them. Oh, good deal, Brent. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, feel free. If you guys want to paint along, if you guys even want to start, if you want to do a study of what I'm doing or whatever, go for it, man. Like, that's the fun of this, is like, get those ideas out. Doesn't have to look good, doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to mean anything. Just, boom, just get that stuff out, because the more action is taken, the more you're going to find that inspiration. It's going to come to you because you're already in the weeds. You're already there. You're available for it to happen. But yeah, like Ryan Pancoast, one of my favorite Magic the Gathering artists, he does all of his stuff with oil paint. Like, he doesn't even do digital anymore. He just does all the stuff oil painting. What he said, I've bought in every tutorial he's ever made. And all he says is, hey, make the silhouette of the shapes good. And then anything you want to put inside of those silhouettes is fine. Anything. Doesn't matter. It could be sci-fi, it could be fantasy, it could be whatever. But make the silhouette look good. And the rest is cake. It's easy. You can have, a million techniques or whatever. But as long as that main shape is good, you're good. So we save that one. Cool. Okay. Now here's the problem solving. So what I think I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna keep this sketch layer on multiply, and I'm going to keep it low. So this is where we start getting blue skin demon guy. Yeah, man, that's my jam. So this is where I'm at on my process. I know this might not be the most interesting thing, but it is what it is. So I'm going to talk it out loud. People wanted to hear me real time discuss decision making. Whenever I get to like this area of a painting, I struggle with knowing, should I do the Evan Amundsen, Jesper Elsing, Karl Kapinski, Adrian Smith, the people I really look up to? Should I do more sketching? Should I go in and start defining things? Then I can use it as almost a coloring book of sorts to know, okay, the belt goes here, this goes here, this item goes here. Basically, do I design everything now? Do I come in with a sketch pad, see how this is kind of a thing coming over? So I'll show you the sketch as it is. See how rough this is? Like, yeah, there's a belt. Yeah, there's a thing. Yeah, there's like a thing of armor, maybe. It's very vague. Like, here's a boot. They're all wearing boots because I'm freaking Rob Liefeld and I don't want to draw feet. But see what I mean? Like, this doesn't make sense, really. Like, the shape of it. This is kind of a Viking helmet. It gives me the idea very quickly. But this guy, is this armor? Is this a shield that he's holding? Maybe it's a shield. And then this is just, I just said there was somebody back here. I don't even know. I don't even think it matters. Like, should I come in and design these outfits? Should I, while using this, come in and really clarify things? Or do I keep working in values with bigger paintbrushes and start like compressing strokes and seeing what it makes? Because I feel like whenever I start trying to clarify the idea loses all of the energy. It loses all of it. But when I'm using the paintbrushes, when I'm using kind of that impasto alla prima, you know, big painting stuff, it feels like it's not quite defined enough. So that's the struggle. You know, that's definitely the struggle. Because, like, perfect example. This guy, I know I want it to be an elf guy. And I want him to have sort of the kind of herald coat of arms stuff, whatever that tapestry is that goes over. Looks like a knight, basically. He's basically a knight in training. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, it is a discussion of like, do I just do my thing, but I don't know what my thing is. You know, I don't know what should work best, but I guess whatever gets me there, whatever that looks like. So it's funny. I was talking with a few of my Warhammer painting friends, and we had the discussion to where it feels like every time we start a painting, it feels like we have no idea what we're doing. Every time. We know what we need to make, we know what the setting is and all that stuff. But like, you forget how to paint. You just forget how to do all of it. And then you start little by little working more and more and more. Watercolor doesn't line and wash. Yeah, cause see, that's what I really think is cool about like Karl Kopinski. His stuff is super, super good, but he makes kind of a mess of lines. And then he goes in and defines the ones that are correct. And I really like that approach. I'm just not good at it. So I need to practice. But it feels very unnatural because, well, we'll see. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's go. We'll do sketch 2. We will get ourselves a pencil. And we will just sketch. We're just going to sketch for a bit. And let's use our good friend right here as an example, okay? It's like a fruit fly or something flying on my glasses. So he's pretty much done. Like, this guy's pretty much done. But I need to go in and define a few things. So, let me grab... Let's do the 2B. Right here. That's true. For them, it's just, yeah, it's automatic. That's just how they work. It's amazing. So, like, is this a piece of armor, or is this basically his chest? And then I can draw abs or whatever here, to where he just has this coming around. You know, because I know this is definitely coming around. That for sure is correct. But then how would that work? So if this was... What happens if I get rid of this line? I'm just going to do this all with a sketching pencil right now. To where this looks like one solid piece. And this could maybe be... like a piece of armor. But how would that even stay up? See, that's what I mean. Whenever I'm working, I always ask myself stuff like that. I'm like, this could be cool, but like, is this like a plate of a chest? And like, does that even make sense? So if we like come over here. That's foreshortened a little bit. So we're coming in and kind of using contour lines to show where the arm is. But I need to get rid of this. And that comes up. And also this. There we go. I'm trying to do more anatomy from imagination instead of looking at reference. Just to kind of see if I can do it and I'd get more comfortable at it. So that's going to this part's going to overhang. This is going to overhang. Something like that. Something. And then also with kind of the rendering and all that, it's almost like when is here, let me come in here. When is good enough for rendering as far as like sketching and stuff to figure out where something is? Because like, should I completely draw the belt buckle? Should I do this and make sure that's there, and or is that too does it not matter as much? I still need to shake that feeling that drawing and painting are different. Because at the end of the day, they shouldn't be. At least that's my opinion. I don't think they should be, but they are. To me, in my mind, they definitely are. They do two separate things. But at the end of the day, it should all be about making a picture, you know? And then this is actually going to come up here. This guy's nose. Need to define it a little more. And then that. I like this guy's hair because it reminds me of an 80s hair metal band. It's almost like Nikki Sixx hair or something. Because it's like a mullet, but not really. And I kind of dug it. Whenever I did it on accident, and I was like, oh, I'll come back and fix this hair later. And then I looked at it again after I, like sat on it for a few days, and I was like, actually, I kind of like that sort of, that sort of vibe. Live with self-doubt until one day it's gone. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Yeah, just grind through it. I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. Just kind of grind through these hard spots, and then I think it'll be a nice relief whenever I get to the point to where I'm not constantly like doing the second guessing. I'm just making stuff, and then I'm more like, oh yeah, no, this is how I do it. If it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. This is how I do it. What's up, Crow? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are well. So... oh, see, there's that thing. I repeat my shapes too many times. So what I need to do... come up here... let me change that angle. There we go. Now, something I have learned, and I'm actually very happy that I learned this, and this was through a, actually both Domestika courses. I bought like 4 or 5 courses on Domestika when they had their big sale. One was Evan Amundsen, one was Jesper Elsing. And then I did like a tattoo one and a watercolor and stuff like that. So really good sale that I got to pick some stuff up on. But something that every course that I watched said, and it makes total sense, and I mean this goes back to what Brian Pankos was saying and what I found to be true, is make your silhouette shapes very sharp. Very sharp. Because you can do whatever you want as long as the shape stays true. And that's sort of what this is. I'm kind of, you know, navel gazing and whatever around all these design elements. But you notice I haven't touched the silhouette. The silhouette works. And I'm happy about that. I really am. Now the devil's in those details about like, oh, well... you know, is this the right dimension, and as it's turning and all that stuff. All that is, you know, like how rendered should this leather be? Because you have to remember, this character is not our main focal point. But right now, he is by far and away the most rendered thing on this painting, right? So I think what we're probably going to do, and it sounds super silly, but we're going to do it, is we're going to come and we are going to smudge all these details out. Not all, well, not all of them, but we're going to make this a little more painterly. We are going to make it less harsh. And let's do that with picking a brush pack we're not used to. This is a trick that I actually use all the time. If you have a whole bunch of brush packs like I do, if you want to get some really spontaneous results, pick a brush pack you've either never used before or you don't use very often. Because it's going to give you results you're not used to. And it's going to make you, it's going to really force you to look at things in a different way. So if I just come over here and like, yeah, so this is like a nice chalk brush. And come over here, the shape's still the same. Let's do that. Let's get this. Kind of away from the light. So another thing that you've probably looked at, and I know I've looked at this on this painting and I've asked it to myself, but I'm also trying to like not get caught up in it based on what we've been saying earlier. is, where is the light source? You know what I mean? Where's the light source in this painting? I don't think there is one. But I also don't think it matters too much. I know they're outside, they're in the snow. It could be up in the sky, and because it's bouncing off of the snow, it's filling everything, so there's no harsh shadows really, unless it's like clothes overlapping clothes. But really, I know this character is going to have the darkest darks and the lightest lights. So they're going to be our focal point. Second up is going to be our friend the crow right here. And then third is probably going to be this character. Probably then, maybe fourth, he's standing kind of in between people that are pretty well detailed. Fifth, sixth, seventh. I think that'd be good, right? So the goal is to make this character by far the most interesting contrast-wise. And like shapes and shadows and stuff. And then second will be right here. So perfect example of that. Oh, I know what we can do. Here's another trick I learned. Check this out. Let's just merge a layer below. That's not what I wanted. Undo. Yeah, see how that cleans it up pretty good. Let's do... I know. Layer. This, by far and away, my favorite thing about Clip Studio Paint. Layer. Merge visible to new layer. This merges all of your layers together and then makes a new layer on top. So it's non-destructive, but it basically takes a snapshot of what you have right here, and then you can use all that information on the next thing. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do merged one. Now I'm going to take all of these. I say all of these layers. There's 3. I'm going to do that. Put them in a folder. Using Sketch. Do that. Oh. Boom. 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 Call this folder Setup. Now I can hide this. Cool. Now all we have is a merged layer. So if I disable this, it's nothing. Now, no, it's right here. So we have that set up. Now we have merged. Now we can start kind of painting. But the first thing I want to do is I want to adjust the values a little bit. You know, I need to make overall this dude a little darker, him a little lighter, and everyone else is pretty good, I think. Well, maybe him a little lighter too, because he's further back. So where's your main character looking? So that's interesting. So if we have the main character right here, basically what I have going on here, she has a helmet on, and it's kind of like hiding her face. Because basically she is looking, if I go like this, do that. Let me get my pencil here. And let me, which one do I want? Let's do that one. So basically she is looking, so like her nose is right here, essentially. Her eyes, That's her one side eye. Her other one's probably like over here. And then here's like mouth. Yeah, it's not right. But here, let me do it like this. Something like this. So she is looking this way. Like down and kind of to the side, kind of what my face is doing. And she's just like sick of it. And then he's sort of like kind of smirking as they're walking. And this dude's just telling them the business, like, oh, well, whenever you get there, you got to stand in this spot. And then the judge is going to tell you. And then you got to walk up to the stand. Like, and then all these people are basically security guards. Making sure these two don't try anything funny. So yeah. So her hat is sort of like, it's almost like a cowl, but it's actually I'm thinking I'm gonna make it like a raven or a crow's beak, because they're from the same clan, and basically it's the clan of crows. Like, that's what their nicknames are. But what I was gonna do is correct the values, right? So let me do that. Let me come up here. Let me grab this one. I'm gonna get this. Let me get this one. There we go. And this is a really cool technique that I think I learned from Paul Dayton, maybe? Is one of the Warhammer artists. Basically, you're going to come in on a new layer, and if you need to darken basically the entire character all at once, come in and paint over everything in one shade that is darker, basically in the shade that you want, you know, and do it on everything. Remember, we're just doing the silhouette. Doesn't everything else doesn't matter. You just do the silhouette, and you're going to do that one solid color on the silhouette. You know, and we can have a few things here. That's fine. So we have that. More of the silhouette. Then all you have to do is just bring down the opacity until it adjusts how dark you want your character. So if it was right here, let's darken it a little bit. See? And that's all you're going to do. That's all you're going to do. So the same thing, I'm actually going to go, I'm going to merge the layer below. Boom. So that's done. Since he is the furthest ahead, his entire character is going to be darker than everybody else because he's closer to us. She's next, and she has the light and the dark, so we're going to keep her the same. But now we're going to lighten him up. So we're going to do another new layer. We're going to pick this lighten color. So not necessarily the highlights, but, you know, a lighter color on the figure already. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in on the new layer. Basically just like color shape or a color in the silhouette shape of the character. And even like the sword, anything that is attached to the character. This is why a lot of artists, they will make, I call it a clown map. So what a clown map is, it's something that game developers use. Some people call it like a rainbow map or something like that. but basically where you block in all of your shapes, all of your silhouettes in a different color. So you basically do this, what I'm doing here, at the very beginning, you block in the shape, you block in the silhouette, whatever, and then like this would be bright red or whatever, you know what I mean? Like this would be super bright red. That way, anytime you needed to just select that character's silhouette, you could go back to the clown map, just select all the red, and it only selects that character. It helps you keep razor sharp edges and stuff. It's a really cool technique. What's up, Rick? So here we have it. So there's that silhouette of our second main character, right? So what we're going to do is, once again, we are going to lower the opacity until it gets where we need. So that's where he started. And that lightens him just a little bit. You see how that pushes him back? So if we like hide that, he's right at the forefront. And then we do that and it pushed him back just a little bit. That atmosphere kind of like kicked him over, and she's out more in the forefront. And the other cool thing you can do from this, actually I'm gonna lower it a little bit more. See, this is only at like 13% opacity. Any parts that you would like to be darker, actually this is fine because her sword hilt or her weapon hilt or whatever holder is actually darker than anything on him, which is true because she's further forward. The thing I might have to do though, no, that's fine. Cause see, I'm about to get back into that rule thing. Technically, since he's closer to us, everything on him should be darker than the darkest thing on her, because she's further back. So if we're doing the rule of atmospheric perspective, the further you go back, the lighter something is going to be. However, it's more important that our main character right here, who's on trial, well, they're both on trial. These two are on trial, but she needs to be the center of attention, so she may actually be darker in the shadows than anything on him, even though all of him is closer to us. You know, like... So it depends on what rule you think is more important. The rule of our foreground thing being darker, and that's always true? Or do you break the rule because you have the character that you want people to look at to have a higher contrast? So it's all balancing act stuff. This is the type of stuff, these are the problems I solve on client stuff. Like, this is why working on the personal things is pretty important, at least to me. Because now I get to experiment, like, okay, what does work better? I think keeping her the highest contrast is better. So her darks will be the darkest and her lights will be the lightest. Another thing you can do, if you just want to talk about contrast, maybe I just need to keep him rendered at about this level. But then when we come in here for our two main characters, maybe we render them out a little bit more. Maybe we use sharper angles and, you know. So that's another form of contrast. Maybe they're rendered better than everyone else in the painting, so you're going to look at them anyway. You know, who knows? But, so yeah, we got that. That's right. Just a little bit. See that? That's with it off. And that's with it on. The background had been dark. Yes, correct. So if they're coming out of a cave, it's... So I'm going to show you... This is funny. I'm going to show there is a... Somebody, it may have been Brand, or actually, Rick, it may have been you. I can't remember. On my art block thing, I think... Oh no, let me go to Docs. It's a Google Doc. I'm making a Google Doc right now, and it has all of these rules and stuff that I'm trying to play with. But here we go. So let me do this. I'm going to grab these images and then pull them over. I need to remember who made these, because it was not me, but here we go. This one is, if I copy, let me come over here. Yes, okay, cool. So basically this is a way to look at how you want, and you can reverse these, you can do this, but your foreground is dark. You have the majority of it is dark, and also the details are dark. In your midground, you can have everything kind of medium, 50% gray, but then everything's real bright on what you want to look at. But then your background also is high major key as far as it's very light in the background, but low minor key, you have less contrast in it. So you can see that there's low contrast in your foreground and your background. The same rule would apply even if you flipped and had your background dark and your foreground light. The same rule applies. You would have less detail in those places. And in the middle plane is where you would have all that kind of crunchy detail. You would have your darkest darks, you would have your lightest lights to draw whatever you needed forward. Does that make sense? Like, that's your focal point. But yes, the lighting would reverse. If you were in a cave, you would do dark background, light foreground, or in some of my cave paintings, I still did, even though everything was down, everything was very dark, I would still have, like, perfect example. Let me move this out of the way. Let's say I wanted to make this a nighttime scene. Let me do that real quick. So I'm going to come over here. I am going to get this. I'm going to edit fill. I'm going to bring this down. So what I would do, even on a nighttime scene, now this is not going to look very good, so please bear with me, but this should give you the idea. Nighttime scene, we're very, very dark, right? I would still have in the midground the details, and like the moonlight would hit. This isn't the right tool for this job, but hopefully this kind of shows the way I would approach it. So around my main focal points, I would let you see the most amount of detail. So even if the whole key of the image was super dark, I would do things like have highlights defining the silhouettes, and then like lesser stuff here, lesser stuff here. So you could still kind of tell what was going on, but like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that automatically, it makes it moody, but the stuff you're supposed to look at, you can still look at. And then you could still have, even though this is really dark, you could still come in, get a really dark, and let's say there's like tree branches or in the woods or whatever. You can have the really dark. And something that I would used to do, yeah, say they're in the woods or whatever, right? Like something that I used to do. Well, it's funny. I just use these branches to kind of point at my, literally to make little arrows at my focal point. Then let me come over here. What I did until I got that image and did some of these studies for these like Domestica courses, right? And then maybe even this can be like a big one. So if we do that, okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine, right? We'll do that. Let me go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. You know, I can blur these a little more, make it kind of the depth of field stuff. But what I used to want to do, so see, now it's still darker, but it's like in front, right? What I would have the tendency to do, and this is like recently, even stuff that I've made over the past like 3 months had this problem. What I thought would be realistic or cool looking or whatever is like, oh, here's the thing in the foreground. Well, it has to catch some of this light. So let me go ahead and do this. And then let me get some of that highlight color. And then let me come and let me like, you know, have that nice, you know, oh, there it is. So now it's getting some of that light too. Has some of those. Yeah, that's cool. You know, and I thought this would look really cool and dynamic and stuff. This destroys the illusion. Destroys it. Because why would I, even through physics, why would I be getting any of these highlights on the darkest dark that is essentially, if we're talking about we are the light source, why would these branches get any of it if there's a group of 7 people blocking the light? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, it might look cool and, ooh, look at the rim light, look at this. It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. So, having that literally ruins the illusion of having depth. And this is something that I'm just now really coming to grips with, because if we remember our, you know, deal right here, the foreground, low major key, meaning it's dark, and low minor key, meaning not a lot of contrast, right? So you see, this is just dark. It's just dark. There's no cool highlights here, nothing. But midground is where you have very high contrast in your medium overall values. Then you have your spot hits and stuff like that, your lights and kind of your deeper shadows and stuff. But the darks here never get as dark as what's in your foreground. It's just not going to happen. And then, you know, in your background, you have your lightest lights. Yeah, overall lighter. So everything's kind of lighter that way. But then you have low contrast because, and we have that same rule in our piece over here. You know, even getting rid of that, getting rid of that. Like everything's low here. Even the quote unquote shadows and the craggy rocks here, which is what I wanted this to look like a mountain, like they're walking in front of a big canyon mountain thing. I got this idea from Thomas Scholes. Or Scholes. He does stuff for Guild Wars. And also Richard Anderson does this too. But, you know, the impressionistic painterly mountains. But you can see how they're light. Even the shadows are lighter than, like, any of the people. Let's say we have that. So yeah, that's correct. I want this to be merged down. Merge the layer below. And also, let's lighten up this dude back here. Because these two are pretty similar. They're pretty similar in value, which kind of works. They're not too far away from each other, but let's just do it just to do it as an exercise. Let's go like this. Let's grab that lighter value right here. Let's... do this. You see, it looks like overkill. That's what makes this so cool. Basically, you get rid of him. Then what you do is when you lower the opacity, slowly bringing him back in. See? So this is where he was. Now you have him here. Gives it more depth. There's more on top. There's more overlapping. You know what I mean? Like... And I kind of like the fact... sounds funny. Kind of like the fact that there's literally no rendering on this guy or this guy. I kind of like that. I like... You know, we don't care about them. We just know that they're there. Also, I like the fact... I did that on accident. But these little white hits right here looks like snow falling. At least that's what it reminds me of. So if I did... There's a layer below. I did that. If we make another snow layer right here, we can make one. The big stuff. We're gonna just copy that same look. And it's cool, we can use this as like a, once again, pointing at our people. But you also don't want to get in the way of the moneymaker. You don't want to get in the way of the main characters. So they can go in front of these characters just fine, you know, whatever. But like, you don't want it super... in front of our main people, right? But yeah, I like that. That looks cool. I like the look of the snowfall. So, let's keep snow on its own layer. And see, it's easy just to get that. You just get a wet brush and sort of make lines, and then people are gonna, you know, fill in the blanks. So here's what the color was, and then I dialed it down. But I think this actually works better without color. because I did kind of the cool underpainting and then made the warm characters. But like, there's something more striking, I think, about pure black and white with it. So now, let me save. We're going to come in and we are going to render out. First, let's render out our homie right here. Not fully render, but, you know, try to get him a little more correct. I like the elf ears, but we're going to fix them. Let's do that real quick. Then there we go. So something that I'm experimenting with more, and I'm actually really liking how it looks, is triangles. A lot of my lines now, I'm making very sharp edges, and like even with the hair and like how the hair is going and all this stuff, and you can definitely notice it here, you know. I'm really liking the triangles because I think it adds a little bit of dynamic, you know what I mean? Like, he just looks cooler. Like, the haircut doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to because it looks cool. You know, that's the rule, right? Rule of cool. But yeah, I do dig this sort of loosey-goosey vibe. See, it's funny, now I need to like fix his arms. It's like his arms should be coming down here, right? And this one. See, what's nice about the characters that aren't the main characters is it doesn't matter how detailed they are, really. Because it's hopefully what you're not going to be looking at. And because you see these other characters that are going to be more highly rendered, you just take it for granted that every other character is that same amount of rendered or like detailed. But they ain't. Cool. All right. Then I had that, but I can actually get rid of that. That sort of lets them be two separate entities, you know. There we go. So yeah, something like that. Oh, I just now see. Now this caught my eye over here because this big snow streak going in front of his belt buckle. His belt buckle does not need to be that bright. Doesn't need to be that light either. But let's do this. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Shape better on that one that he's turning around and looking. Don't need that highlight. Walk in the snow so you can make that as messy as you want because all the snow kicking up from the footprint. Okay. Make that a little darker, make that a little lighter. So basically we're going to get rid of a lot of this contrast. If we follow that rule from that image, he's in the most foreground, so the contrast shouldn't be super high. So everything's dark. Yeah, that works better. Cool. Yeah, it's coming together okay. I'm digging him. I'm happy with how he's looking. And I think this is the style right here. You know how I said in the book there's going to be an area with like a comic book, like a 5 or 6 page comic book. I think this will be kind of the style of it, because I can do this pretty quick. And it'll help me just focus on dynamic face shape and face movement and all that. So yeah, overall it's looking okay. It's looking okay. It's getting there. There's still a lot of work to do on it, but I think that might be it for tonight, because we have been live for a long time. We have been live for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Boom. All right. Make sure I save this before I do anything crazy or crass, you know. So we got that. Boom. There we go. So as you can see here on the chat window, I can chat with both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I'm going to mute my mic real quick so I can move it back down here. There we go. Here we go, and then boom. Thanks so much, man. So yeah, it's fun. It's getting there. I think it's going to be cool. And I'm excited about making basically a little 5 or 6 page comic, because it's something I think I made a comic whenever I was like 7 years old, and it was on notebook paper and all that stuff. But really like learning how to do it and making it something that's legible and like it works and it tells the story of like a sliver, like a slice of, really, I know it's going to be about 2 farmers. One's a father and a son, and they're talking about the big giant, kind of the big crystal, the black crystal that has come from wherever and crashed, but that it brought about, you know, some rain, and, you know, it helped a little bit. But then somebody in the distance starts approaching them, and then basically the dad knows who it is, the son doesn't. The dad tells the son, hey, you know, head back up to the village and tell him I'll be there for dinner in just a minute. And then some things happen. The son leaves, and the man has some word. The dad has some words with the. So there's more happening, you know. So that's basically all it is, and then that leads into kind of part 1, and part 1 gives background on stuff, and so yeah, I already have a lot of this stuff mapped out. I have a design doc, and there's a bunch of lines going everywhere, and I think that's actually going to be part of the book as well. Is I want to have a little sliver at the very end, like a behind the scenes, like, hey, here's some design documents talking about putting the book together, because I think that's really important too. But yeah, it'll kind of, I'll get to, you know, flex a little bit. I'll get to stretch out. I'll get to try these things that I've never tried before and see how well it works. And if one thing takes off, or if I really like, let's say I fall in love with making comics, maybe that's a thing. You know, maybe I can start getting more into that until I get hired for more tabletop games, or, you know, whatever. Who knows? I mean, who knows where this leads? And that's kind of the point. Having a personal project like this to where you can really, dig into it and really find out what you want to do and what works and what doesn't, and how to fix it. And that's a super important thing. And I think everyone should have one. Everyone should definitely have a personal project like that. I have this one, which is fantasy. I also have a sci-fi one. Sci-fi one is a story I wrote way back when, and I've been meaning to write it for a long time, but maybe this type of way of doing it might be a better way. A world building guide small little comics or, you know, illustrations of big moments and then put it all together. There's some cool books like that out there. And I like that vibe because to me it's all about mood. It's all about the gimmick of like, oh, this world's awesome. There should be more of this. I want to know more about the world. That's what I'm in it for. So if I make a bunch of world guides that kind of get you in that mindset, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Oh, thank you so much. Excited to see your working out pans out. If interested in a critical view of the finished work, yeah. 10 years ago. Absolutely, Rick. I'm going to take you up on it. Frog! Nice music choices. Oh, cool. So that's World of Warcraft. So I have a lot of World of Warcraft stuff. The nice thing is all Blizzard music is allowed. Like you can stream with it, you can video on demand, you can YouTube. They're very, as long as it's freely available, which this will be. You can listen to Blizzard music all day if you want to, which is great because I love the WoW soundtracks, I love Diablo, all that stuff. So that, and there's also some like Guild Wars, and I have a few Halo soundtracks too. I'm really in the fantasy vibe right now, so we're probably gonna hook up with the fantasy stuff more and more. Really focus on that instead of the sci-fi, but we'll get to sci-fi sometime. Like I said, I want to make that project too. But so we have tons of stuff to do on stream, which is great. It's going to be motivating. It's going to just be a cool place to hang out, talk ideas. Like I said, really do the navel gazing of like problem solving here. And maybe use the YouTube videos to be more focused on like, here's a good tip for bounce light. Or if you're foreshortening a hand and fingers, here are some things that I found helpful. You know what I mean? More of like a very specific tutorial-esque thing. And we could also like review programs or do more ranked lists. Do things that are kind of around art and like techniques and stuff. But then do the nitty-gritty here on the live stream where we can talk immediately. You know, I think there's a lot of fun in that. I think it's really cool. Nice one. Yeah, look at that. That's a 5-head is what it is. But yeah, dude, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back streaming. Streaming's something that I really like doing. It's just, you know, with little kiddos, you want to make sure that, you know, their sleep schedule's okay. So I will say right now, while we get started with kind of revamping, there may be times I have to just bolt because if, you know, kids wake up, have a nightmare, or, you know, that type of thing. But hopefully, knock on wood, that will be, you know, few and far between. Because right now it's, you know, 2:15 in the morning. I usually work till about 3:30 or 4 in the morning to get stuff done, and then wake up and do the dad thing. Thankfully, my wife's a school teacher, so she's out for the summer. But whenever school starts back up, I'll still keep the same kind of schedule. We'll still probably do these, you know, starting at like 10 Central Time, work for a few hours till about midnight or so, and I go to bed around 2. So we'll sort it out. But as of right now, I'm thinking Saturday nights and Wednesday nights are going to be the main ones. That's going to be the two that I'm going to really focus on the streaming. And then hopefully we're going to have YouTube videos every Thursday or Friday or whatever. Those might be a little less than normal just because the stream, now we have multiple hours of content for the art stuff. But I don't want to get away from the YouTube thing. I think there's something there. I just haven't quite found it yet. Just the same as everything about techniques and all that, you know, we're close. We're getting closer. And I think that's the goal, is once we find the thing, we'll know where the lane is and we'll be able to fire on all the cylinders. Got a lot of art done today. Yeah, good. Same here. This gives me a reason to focus on the project, which is great. Like, uninterrupted, talk art, practice, time under the gun. It's great. Never played WoW. WoW is good. WoW is super good. It's one of my favorite games ever made, actually. People will talk smack on it, but they don't know what they're talking about. Wrath of the Lich King is, and actually this shirt right here, this orc, this is some old Bayard Wu. Is this Bayard Wu art? No, this is where's the signature? It's somewhere. It's somewhere. Oh, Wei. He made it in 2000. What's his first name? Why can I not think of it? Piang Wei, I think. He's an old school Blizzard artist from like Warcraft 2, and he did stuff for Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft, and so I got stuff on the shirt, you know, because I'm a goober, and I'm gonna wear it for art stuff. But oh, dude, I played so much WoW. Maybe, you know, once a month or so, we can have like a game night too. I've thought about it. I like the idea that this is 99% art stream. I like it because I like doing it and it's a perfect reason to work. But if we want to have a game night, we can do that from time to time. If there's a big release out or like a game that I think people should know about, we should do that. I saw that Samwise started YouTubing. So good. I have so many like Art of Blizzard books. I have my collector's editions. I have all kinds of stuff. Dude, love Blizzard. I kind of always will. I know lately they haven't been on the toppest form, but I still respect the hell out of them. Like, I love Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4, all of it. Just the way they make stuff very much appeals to my sensibilities. And yeah, all that stuff. It's super cool. Can't get enough of the Blizzard stuff, really. That's going to be actually my next... this is all the sci-fi stuff. My next tattoos on my tricep coming down are going to be the 3 StarCraft symbols. So Zerg, Protoss, and Terran. But then this arm, once this is all sleeved up and tattoos on the hands and stuff, this one's going to be all fantasy. So we're going to have Warcraft emblems and Alliance and Horde. We're going to have Lord of the Rings stuff. We're going to have trees and birds, and yeah, it's going to be pretty sick. It's going to be a long time coming, though. Sleeves are expensive, so I'm doing them a la carte right now. Blade Runner and Jedi Outcast and Final Fantasy VII, and got Battlestar Galactica. We talked about it earlier. And then what's the other one? Where is it? Oh yeah, this one's just of a crow, because the crow is awesome. So, Rogue Trooper, yeah, bud. Saturday nights are all right for fighting. So yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out. It's a blast. Yeah, tell your friends, and we'll get more on it on the like Discord channel and stuff like that, and a lot of fun, you know. So here's my thing about The Crow. The Crow, the first Crow with Brandon Lee, is perfect. I think it's a perfect movie. I can literally quote it almost verbatim. If the movie starts, I can literally, like, Officer Albright and all that, like, I can quote it like you wouldn't believe. I have the James O'Barr comic, all that stuff. But The Crow has had some dreadful movies. Absolutely horrible. Stairway to Heaven, the TV show, was pretty good with Mark Dacascos. It was good. Like that. I like City of Angels. I like the second one where it was, what was his name? Angelo? What was the name of the guy in the second one? The Magician, when like had Iggy Pop and stuff in it. That I love that movie too. It's not as good as the first one, but not many movies are, in my opinion. But the new one is fine if they didn't make it about Eric Draven and Shelley Webster. If it would have been 2 other random people, I'd be A-okay with all of it. I'd be like, sure, John Wick it up, whatever. But like, oh, new follower, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the follow. Let me open that up. But oh, Mass Effect 10 is a great idea. Anyway, I'm gonna get a Deus Ex one. There's a lot of them I'm gonna get. But if they didn't do Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, I'd be a-okay. But Eric Draven and Shelley Webster are, Brandon Lee. That's, even though in the book, of course it's not, but you know what I mean? Like, there's something a little, it sounds weird, but there's something a little sacred about it to me. So the more Crow, the better. I mean, like I said, we've had some dreadful Crow movies. Horrible. So this one's not going to be that bad. I mean, and Skarsgård is awesome. Like, great actor. And what's her face? It's also in it. Can't think of names right now because it's like 2:30 in the morning. But yeah, I'll watch it. Sure. I think the graphic design on it's cool. I think the poster looks neat. Like, some of the shots, like the way whenever he falls into that pool of like resurrection or whatever, and the camera follows him down. Stuff like that. Yeah, sure. I'll take it. Yeah. Is that the one with Tara Reid? Ugh. That's sad. See, what I am interested in, because the main thing, and I know they made some scenes with Skull Cowboy in the original, but it didn't make the cut or whatever. They cut it for time. Alex Proyas, I think, talked about it in one of the making ofs. But having Skull Cowboy in it, I wonder if they're going to go that route. Because that's another part of the supernatural thing, but it makes sense. Phoenix! What's up, my friend? Yeah, we started, a little bit ago. How long is it? Let me move this. Yeah, 2 hours, 32 minutes. But a lot of fun. There's a lot to watch. What's up, Phoenix? What's good, brother? Good to see you. We're wrapping up, but we're talking shop now. We're talking about serious stuff like tattoos and the Crow. That's right, a phoenix is never late. Like Gandalf, a wizard, arrives precisely when they mean to. Shout out to HEB for their knockoff Coca-Cola. But yeah, it's good to be back streaming. I'm digging it. I like it. It's been too long since I've done it. Like, I don't want to do it full time unless it becomes a full time thing. Like, unless people are demanding it, and I get paid a ton of money or whatever. And then it, whatever. We're gonna make it work. But when's the next stream? So the next stream will be probably Wednesday night. I think we're gonna do Saturday nights and Wednesday nights. I'm thinking that's when it's gonna be. Saturday nights for sure. That's a pretty safe bet because Sundays we don't have a lot of plans, even during school years and stuff where my wife works. And Sundays, stuff closes early. There's less pressure to get stuff done on a Sunday. But like Wednesday seems to be a pretty decent time in the middle of the week. And plus that's a good like 3 to 4 day split, so you got one and then one halfway, and then you can kind of do it that way. So, Conan Exiles. See, I need to play more of it because that's survival stuff, kind of like Valheim and Ark and all that, which is cool. I'm just not good at it, and I don't have enough time to really like dedicate. And with Conan, I've heard that people can come and like ransack your house while you're not there. And like, that sounds like real world problems. Like, I work hard enough to not have people ransack my real house. You know what I mean? So now I gotta worry about this other house too? All right. So to format, I'm gonna be using Affinity Publisher, which is something I bought when it first came out, but they just came out with the second edition, and I got all of the Affinity stuff for like 20 bucks, I think, because it was an upgrade deal. So I've used InDesign way back in the day. I went to school for graphic design, so I was used to InDesign, but Affinity's great, and I don't have to pay monthly, and I don't have to pirate any software, so it's a win-win. Oh, hey. That's cool. I might have to jump on that, man. That'd be fun. Kind of figure out how to work. But speaking of Conan, I'm reading the new Conan, the Jim Zub Conan run. I think it's on like issue 13 now. I'm on issue 6 because I get it preloaded onto my Kindle, or my iPad rather, but on the Kindle app. And that is dope. It is an amazing series. Holy crap, they nailed it. It is super good. Yeah, Affinity's awesome. I really like Affinity. Affinity Photo is not great for painting yet. It's okay. But their publisher, their kind of InDesign knockoff, or what their version of InDesign, is really great, and it has a lot of the same stuff that I like. Jim's good. I freaking love it. Like, yeah. And he's done a lot of stuff, right? He's done a lot of other Marvel, and I read his kind of bio snippet, but I don't know if I've read anything else he's done. But I'm loving Conan because it's thematically correct, but it's also like, it's just good storytelling. And then the art from Della Torre is ridiculous. Like, it's like John Buscema like reincarnated again, you know, like you see this and you're like, how is this person not Frank Frazetta brought back to life? Oh, he did D&D. But yeah, they're firing on all cylinders on that book, man. Super cool. And I do like that each of the issues are tying in to the Onyx, whatever. And then, of course, whenever I was reading Conan, because I have design docs from, you know, a year and a half ago, talking about the big black diamond that falls from the sky. And then I'm reading Conan, and I was like, this is basically a big black diamond that falls from the sky. So I might change it. I don't know. I don't want it to look like I just ripped that off. But I needed a big thing, like a monument for my story. I need some sort of. It's funny because in my sci-fi story, it's a satellite dish, the same exact thing. It's like a big thing caused a big cataclysm, and now people have to deal with it. You know. So we'll see. Really, I got the design for the black diamond from, like, what if the big Final Fantasy diamond came and like crashed into a planet and like it was stuck there and you just saw it. Oh, and before I get off here, I did find a way to stream my iPad onto my computer, to where we can do like a kind of a picture-in-picture deal, and we can see in real time, you know, kind of like how I did one of my YouTube videos like that, but I actually have it set up to where it can do the streaming as well, which is awesome, and with all the layout and the graphic design and stuff. So we'll do that. We'll dig into Procreate. There's some Procreate stuff that I'm really liking lately. And a lot of it is the thick brush. I bought a freaking $40 brush pack, but it is worth every single penny. And yeah, it literally, and you know, all the hyperbole and stuff, it literally feels like using oil paint. It's ridiculous how realistic it is. It's the there's two of them. There's the Max Packs. Yeah, the Max Brush Pack thing. And then there's one called Perfect Oils. And that one's the one that was like $35. And then I think the Max Packs was like $30. And man, those are good freaking brushes. Like, I make brushes, and I was using these. Like, well, I can't make anything better than these, so. Nope. I don't know how they did it. But they freaking did it. So what I'm hoping is that the rumor is true about if Procreate is going to come to desktop. And if so, and I can use those brushes on desktop, forget it. Here, let me find the Max Brush Procreate Max Packs. Here we go. Let me move this over here. We'll hop back over here. Okay, so let me get this one, and then the other ones are Procreate brushes. Perfect Oils. Here we go. Yep. Okay. So these are the two brushes. Let me come back here. Boom. So this first set is the Max Packs. Yeah, the Oil Max Pack right here. Ridiculous. Yeah, $30. And he has a bunch of them, but like this one is absurdly good. Let me see if, because there's like canvas brushes. It's insane. It looks real, and it feels real whenever you're using it. The way the colors blend and smudge and stuff, it is unbelievable how good it is. I wish there was a way to like actually zoom in so you could see some of the stuff, because it is stupid good. Because yeah, you get those, and it has the impasto effect on it, and like linseed oil washes, and the washes drip a little bit and stuff. And then you get your rough oils, your shredded brushes. It is, look at that, oil blobby. It's these are like perfect. It's absurd. And then yeah, you get canvas, and you also get canvas like cracks, like highlight. Yeah, so you get like varnish cracks. It's, look at that varnish glare. Absurd. It's absurd. And the other one, I have these for Procreate and for Photoshop, so I bought them twice. These are incredible. This is actually some of the secrets that I use on some of my more impressionistic stuff. If I don't want to use Rebel, I'll come in and use some of these brushes. But yeah, they are, the dude's an amazing artist anyway. Like, he does science fiction book covers and stuff. But yeah, they look great. Like, I love that kind of thick on thick smudgy stuff. Does it better than anybody. So yeah, his stuff on his art station is nuts. But Max's is great. See you, Brent. Thanks for hanging out, bro. Photoshop, what? Yeah. If you go on eBay, every once in a while, somebody will sell their old version of Photoshop CS6 or CS3. Because those were the CS stuff was the last set before Adobe did Creative Cloud. Came out in like 2011, 2012, something like that. Because Creative Cloud, I want to say, started in either 2013 or 2014. And they've been doing it ever since. But those were the last ones you could just buy. You could just buy Photoshop and own it, you know. But yeah, these Max Packs ones are stupid good. Like, both sets are really good, but I couldn't, but there's some brush stroke stuff that I can't believe it. I can't, I'm all looking at it, I'm like, how do you improve this? Like, I don't want to paint over it because it looks too good. You know? But yeah, those are the ones. Highly recommend both of those, but we'll play with them. We'll play with it whenever we get into it. But yeah, that's my time. Do these work for Clip Studio? Sadly, no. I wish if they did. Oh my god. But they are literally both. Well, the Perfect Oils, there's a version of it for Photoshop, and it looks really good. They work really well. They work, but not as good as the Procreate ones. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's the way the brush engine handles stuff or whatever. It is unbelievable, especially with the Apple Pencil and the tilt and the. I mean, it literally feels like if I busted out my oils, my Winsor & Newtons, and got Gamvar and Gamsol and all that stuff, and just started oil painting. It feels exactly the same. It's absurd how close it is. Nice look at my Rebel. Once he comes out with the dude, I'm buying him day one. As soon as he gets those Clip Studio, because I love the Photoshop ones and I love his Procreate ones. I don't care if he charges $100 for those things. I'm gonna buy them. What iPad? They did a. Which were the ones that came out at like the budget price in 2022? What do I have? So I have Apple Pencil 1. I should get Apple Pencil 2 just because of the way it recharges. It doesn't need to like plug into anything. It can just recharge from the iPad. I have the A2197. Let me see what that actually means. Okay, so the 9th generation. Yeah, so 9th gen. I got the pink one because the pink one actually looks the coolest out of all of them. So yeah, brand new, they're only like $300, but you can get them on sale right now because they're now the old edition. You can get it for like $199. Super, I love it. Love, love, love. But like, I'm bad at using it. And what I mean by that is I'm so used to working this way, sitting here, using my keyboard, doing all that stuff, that using my iPad and like touch gesture stuff, I'm just bad at it. I'm an old man, so it doesn't work as well. Or it works great, I'm just not smart enough to use it. There we go. Someday I'll get used to it. which is true. I mean, to be fair, now using those new brushes and stuff and kind of mixing and matching with because I brought in my brush packs and I started using those. I'm like, okay, I know how they feel in Photoshop. I can adjust them to feel the same way here. I get it. Like, it makes more sense. But like, I love, Infinite Painter, Art Studio Pro, but those oil brushes are better than either the Max Packs or the Perfect Oils from Eldar. They're just probably, well, not probably, they are the best brushes I've ever used if you want that look. Needed help with it. I know. Oh. We are there. And the thing is, before I did this, I did tech support. I do tech support, I'm the family tech guy, and like, But now I'm just like, I don't know how to use this stuff. I don't know how to use. I know how to fix it. I don't know really how to, you know. I can program. I can do that stuff, but no, that's what I mean. I need a 24-inch monitor. I need my keyboard shortcuts. Like, I got all my hotkeys for StarCraft memorized. You know what I mean? Like, I can do that. I can Street Fighter. Like, I can do all this, but no. Like, holding the iPad and trying to crank your neck and trying to boo. Don't know how to use it. See, that's fair. So everyone's so reliant on the tech, but nobody knows how to fix it. So, I'm 38. So I'm in this nice middle ground where I grew up right when the internet first started, like right 94, 95, when people started getting AOL and Net Zero. I did that. So I knew what it was like before the internet. I know what it's like to make your own personal homepage. I did, learned all these computer program things. I grew up with like the Unreal Engine and making Quake stuff. And so like as tech has gotten better and better, I've gotten more and more used to it. And I know how to fix it. And I know how to use it. So you have the people that knew how to build it, but now they don't know how to use this stuff. Or you have people that know exactly how to use everything, but once it breaks, they have no idea what to do. So we're this nice middle ground that knows how to fix it and knows why we need it, but like we're not super reliant on it. Like I've said before, someone asked if they think of, do I think of myself as like a content creator? And I'm like, absolutely not. If Twitch and YouTube both went belly up tomorrow, I'm still A-okay. Hell, if electricity stopped, there'd be bigger problems, but as far as my painting job is concerned, I can give me a candle, open the window, and, give me some varnish and I'll be fine. Using the stuff is helpful and it's cleaner and it's fast and you can, iterate and reiterate, but it's not necessary. We did all of our digital arts. And we had to walk on our hands too. Yeah, pretty much, man. Like, give me some boar hair and on a stick, and I'll make something. I've always said that's the goal. My goal is to get good enough at art that if you put a napkin and an ink pen in front of me, and you're like, I need you to make a cover for whatever, and you give me 4 hours, I'll get it done. Like, that's it. If it's go time and you can't get your idea out on the most basic of tools, what are you doing? But that's just me. I could be wrong. As we've established, I'm an old man, so it doesn't, whatever the bald fat guy has to say doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, just get good. Either, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, and I'll probably end it on this. That way we can all kind of gossip and tee-hee about it. But and this isn't directed at anyone in particular, but you all will know the type of person I mean. I was telling this to my tattoo artist too, and we both agreed he's a super great. He does portraiture, and he's super talented, man. He's really, really good. And we talked about it, and I was like, here's the thing. Whenever people go on and on and on, and you'll see this a lot in like the AI bros, they'll talk about all this like, well, what is art? How do you define the feelings of which the inner muse must dictate the reality around it? Like, they're talking bullshit, just nonsense. You're not saying anything. You said all these words, they mean absolutely nothing. Oh, what does this art piece mean? Well, this is the inner turmoil of man. And like, can you draw or not? Can you paint the apple? Can you look at a person and get a likeness on the paper. No? Well, do that. We'll work on that. I don't want to hear about all this nonsense. Like, you can either do the thing or you can't. Right? That's where I'm at. It's like, I can tell if someone's full of crap and they don't know what they're talking about and they don't have any actual skill and they're trying to, Anato's amazing. So, funnily enough, me and Anato were, before DeviantArt turned into a cesspit of AI crap, we were some of the main featured daily deviation people for a long time. So we connected that way. We messaged each other like, hey, congrats again on another. And then seeing them get all these book covers and the Witcher stuff, Lord of the Rings, freaking Magic the Gathering, unbelievable. So it's funny, there's a whole group of people that started around 2019, 2020. We all kind of started in the same bucket. And now it's growing out. It's so cool to see, But yeah, people that are holier than thou. It's whenever people are talking about that type of stuff, it literally just tells me that they're so not confident in their skill. I'll second guess myself all the time. Well, you guys just saw it here for, damn near 3 hours. But push comes to shove, I can make a good image. I know for a fact I can, because there's rules. You can follow the rules and you get good contrast and you get good shapes and the composition has to be good. If you do these 10 things, you're going to make a decent image. The old saying, if you can paint an apple, you can paint anything. So if you just trust the process, you're going to be fine. But then people trying to reinvent the wheel and what does this mean and all this other stuff. It's come on, man. Just do the thing. Just make the thing. But with that, I've probably upset a great 100 messages today in the Restream chat. Big air horn noises for that one. So yeah, pretty much that's a great place to stop. Oh yeah, go to bed, old man. No kidding. It's almost 3 a.m., dude. I gotta get up at 10. So if I fall asleep immediately, that's 7 hours of sleep. The 1-year-old will probably be up before that, and the 3-year-old will be not far behind her. So, it is what it is. I love it though. Wouldn't change it for anything. But that is my time. Thank you all so much for hanging out. It's always a blast. I like doing these wind downs too. So expect these at the end. We paint for a few hours and we talk shop for a little bit, talk about nonsense. That's true. Artists don't sleep. That's way more true than you would think. I've actually, I may have talked about it on one of the YouTube videos, but in art school, we had in the actual art building, we had a gallery area. But then we had the area where we would do our life drawings and our still lifes and, kind of the main study hall type stuff. The atelier area, I guess. So we would have to present in the atelier area before we would go hang stuff in the gallery. So we each had a little studio kind of compartment, I guess. It was almost like a cubicle, but the wall was really tall. So you could mount your canvas and stuff, and you could use an H-frame and all that. And I would work, and it'd be for the final, right? So I'd work. I would literally stay up till 6 in the morning the day before turn-in, and class was at 8. So I'd stay up till 6. I went and I would put my painting on wherever we had to show it, I'd put it there. And then I would go and I would fall asleep on the table in the room where we were going to do the presentations. And then Erin and Shannon, the two girls that I was really good friends with, they were presenting the same day. So they would just come in and just like slap me to wake me up. And I was like, and then I'd present. Be like, yeah, here's this and there's that, and the color red means power and whatever. And then, you'd get your grade, you'd have the judges look it over, the jury or whatever, and then you'd get your grade, and then I'd go back to the dorm and sleep. But it always jacked up my sleep schedule. Always. Almost 10 a.m. Yeah, so it's, wow, so you're, solid 7 hours ahead of me. I'm just not a morning person, like at all. you know, completely, completely a night owl. It's just the expectation's different. Everyone's asleep. All the normal human beings are asleep, so I can get stuff done. There's no phone calls. There's no big emergencies. There's no, you can actually focus and dial in. But anyways, once again, that's my time. Thanks for hanging out for the first stream. This was the first stream in over a year. I think the last stream I did was last year in April. So now we're here, near the end of July in 2024. So I think it was a big hit. I love talking with everyone. I'm glad everyone showed up. Super fun. Yeah, so much fun. And yeah, I can't wait to do it again. So Wednesday, we're probably going to work more on this piece. We might even start another piece so y'all can laugh at how bad my sketches are whenever I'm trying to think of ideas. Because they're not great. They are not great. But yeah, a lot of fun. So thank you for hanging. So cool to see everybody. And yeah, we will see you on Wednesday night. If that day changes, I'll let everyone know, like on Discord and Twitch and Twitter and everywhere, really. But expect Wednesday night around 10 or 11 p.m., depending on what time the 3-year-old actually lays down. Ollie is crazy about not wanting to sleep at the right time, just like his dad. So who knows? But that's my time. You guys have been a blast, and I will catch you guys very soon. Till then, peace.